Hi, I'm Chef David McKenty, and today we're going to be preparing a rockfish with a fresh Tarragon Mousseline and a panko breadcrumb crust. What we have here is a fresh Atlantic rockfish right from the Delmarva Peninsula, right here in the Atlantic waters. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take the fillet off the bone of the fish. We're going to take a sharp boning knife and make an incision behind the gills, behind the fins, on a diagonal, right up to the head. Make sure that we get down through the belly there, freeing it up. Now we're going to take a slight turn of our fillet knife and we're going to go all the way down the backbone, only about a third of the way through the fish. Work the knife through the tail and off. Now, always working from the head to the tail when you're deboning. I'm going to take the knife, I'm going to wipe it to make sure there's no scales that get in there, and I'm going to go right down to the rib bones. Now, this is a round fish, and this is pretty much the way you can butcher almost every round fish out there. I'm going to go under the rib bones and down towards the belly, always working from the head to the tail. I'm going to free up the fillet from the belly meat. And there I have my rockfish fillet. I'm going to wipe the knife again. I don't want any scales on there. I'm going to turn the fillet around. I'm going to remove any of the pin bones from the fillet. That may have been in there. Alright, came out. There we go. I'm going to clean up any of the fat or sinew from the fillet. And now I'm going to skin the fillet. And I'm going to use a clean knife, nice sharp clean knife. I'm going to work the knife in between the meat and the skin of the fish, with holding the knife at a slightly downward angle. Hold on to the skin with my left hand. I'm going to work the knife from the tail towards the head, the opposite direction I butchered, from the tail to the head, all the way through the fillet, and I should get the skin off in one nice, clean piece. Now I have my fillet. I'm going to steak the fillet, or cut it into portions, about 6-ounce portions. There I have 2 6-ounce portions of fillet. And I have my tail meat. Now this is what we're going to make the mousseline from. So I want to clean up the tail meat, make sure there's no fat or sinew. I'm going to cut it into slight little chunks. I'm going to take this bloodline right out of the middle. Cut that into smaller chunks because I'm going to use that in a food processor. Let me move this out of the way for a second. Food processor. All the ingredients I need to make my mousseline. Now I'm going to start with a well-chilled food processor. And the reason you want to chill the food processor is so that the action of the blade, or the friction, doesn't build up heat and cook the fish before you get it to the point where you want to cook it. Because a mousseline is a mousse made with a raw protein. You don't want to denature that protein, you don't want to bring it up to heat, so I chilled everything that's going into the food processor. I'm going to add my fish pieces right in. I have all the ingredients that are on the PowerPoint for the recipe for the mousseline. I have my cream, my lemon juice, my tarragon, fresh chopped tarragon, and a lightly beaten egg white that I'm adding in. Now the egg white's going to help bind the mousse together, and it's going to also help when it cooks. It's going to make the mousseline adhere to the panko. A little trouble with the food processor. There we go. If I can get the lid on correctly. Pulse my mousseline. Take my spatula, make sure that it's well chopped. It's a little more pulsing. I want to make sure I season my mousseline. Blade out of there. That out of there. Get that out of our way. I'm going to add some salt. A little bit of pepper. Stir that into my mousseline. We're all set there. Now at this juncture, I'm going to turn on the heat on my sauteuse pan. Notice it's a straight-sided, heavy-bottomed sauteuse pan because I'm going to be pan frying in it, and I want to even heat, a little bit more oil than I would put in for a saute. And I want to start it over a medium heat. Always want to start your pan dry, no fat in it, no oil or butter or anything, because I don't want to bring that oil up slowly. I want to add it into a nice hot pan. So I'm going to leave that heat up. I'm going to grab my fillets. I'm going to grab panko breadcrumbs that I have all ready for this. I'm going to spread my mousseline onto the fish. I'm going to spread it evenly over the skin side of the fish. Goes down. Now I'm going to add oil into my pan that's warmed up. Good quality oil. Again, I'm going to add a little more oil than I would if I were sauteing, because I want the oil to come up on the sides and make sure that it pan fries the fish. And gets those breadcrumbs nice and golden brown. I'm going to take the fish and I'm going to press it mousseline side down into my panko breadcrumbs. I'm going to season the fish. On the flesh side, I'm going to take my fish fillet, make sure I shake off any of the excess breadcrumbs, and I'm going to gently lay it right into the oil. Again, mousseline side down into the panko breadcrumbs, a little seasoning on the flesh side of the fish. Shake off any excess panko and right down into the oil. Now I'm going to shake the pan a little bit and make sure that I'm not sticking to the bottom of the pan. I want those nice and free. At this juncture, I'm going to add just a pat of butter into the pan. The reason I add the butter in after I have the fish in is I don't want the butter to burn. I want it to caramelize. I want it to get those breadcrumbs nice and brown. I want it to get that mousseline well cooked and add a lot of flavor into it. So my fish is free, my breadcrumbs are browning, my mousseline is cooking, and I can see just little white edges with the filet starting to cook around the sides. I want to check and make sure that I'm browning. I am browning very nicely. I can see my butter starting to caramelize in the oil. Pan frying the fish very well. And now gently, I'm going to flip those fillets over onto the flesh side. Ever so gently. And I'm going to finish cooking these in a 400-degree preheated oven. Pop those right into the oven. It's only going to take about 3 to 5 minutes or so. You don't want to dry out the fish by any means. You want to make sure that it reaches about 140 degrees so that it's cooked through, the mousseline is cooked, but the fish is not dry whatsoever. Set up for my plate right here. Now I've prepared a little cantaloupe vinaigrette. There are hundreds of sauces that you can put on this dish. I've used a little cantaloupe vinaigrette. Clean up a little bit. Our fish is cooking in there. The recipe that's in the PowerPoint is for 4 fillets. You can multiply that mousseline for as many as you want. Hold it chilled. It works better if it's chilled, so you can make the mousseline ahead of time, chill it for at least a half hour or so in the refrigerator. We're going to pull our fish out of the oven. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but it's nice and caramelized. The butter has caramelized in the oil. The panko breadcrumbs are very nicely browned. I can feel on the top that the mousseline is cooked all the way through. And we have a lovely, elegant presentation for our rockfish. There you have it. Happy eating with your rockfish, and I hope to be seeing you soon. Thank you for joining me.